I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I like my money. I'm kind of pro-gun.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
I want to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. I am your host, Brad Tascha. And so I don't know about you guys, but they smell like weed in here.
Not the Z Caddy.
No, geez.
The Z Doggy.
If you guys haven't seen this yet, just look up Z Doggy. Look up Z Doggy, and your life will be changed forever. This is an incredible video. I'm not usually one for the viral videos, but this is something special.
He might be the new Eminem. Like, seriously, he might be the new Eminem.
It's hot. It's definitely hot in the streets, that's for sure.
Yeah, you love those hard streets of Utah.
Yep.
Salt Lake City, rise
very
up.
hard.
Although, if you like Popeyes, you might not want to go to Utah.
That's true. Apparently, Popeyes is looked down upon in the great state of Utah.
For one reason or another.
Yeah.
Guy's such a hater.
Man, it's great. Almost as good as the old basketball line. You know, the Jazz moved to Salt Lake City, where they don't allow music.
That's right.
Anyways, we're here to recap a little UFC on Fox 24 and preview this weekend's card, which is Fight Night 108. It's up there. Fight Night, a lot of numbers. Wes is going to be there. Lance is going to be there because apparently he's not dead, even though he tries to get out of the podcast every week. And a couple other people from MMA Gambling Twitter. So, and if you're there, go by, give Wes a little bro hug, say hi, and just see what's up.
I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of bro hugging going on this weekend.
Gotta feel the love, man.
Love you,
Definitely.
Dan. I love you, bud.
Definitely. Jay, what are you up to right now? Are you enjoying watching playoffs and all that fun jazz that's going on?
Yeah, Brad, I like how you segued into a team without their best player that beat the so-called star-studded Clippers in game one. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing that team, and I've never been a Blake Griffin fan, so.
Well, and Austin Rivers smells like weed, so.
Right. Right.
At least he's not DeAndre Jordan. It smells like Popeye's chicken breast.
That's true. That is true. Oh, man. Nushan, how's it going? The Oilers, they're coming up.
Yeah.
Are they?
They are. It's game night.
Are they going to go up 3-1 tonight?
They fucking better. I bet them, so they better.
Oh, so they're definitely not going to.
Oh, come on. I bet them last game and they won. I also bet San Jose doesn't score at like plus 1,300.
Nice.
Even more interesting.
There you go. Yeah, it's a glorious time, man. NBA playoffs, hockey playoffs, a little bit of fights. It's good times, man.
Can't complain. Cannot complain. Wesley, what do you got on tap for us?
Oh, man, just watching my Celtics right now, try to hang with the Bulls. One of my favorite players ever, Rondo, is just putting his massive hog off in their asses right now.
It is big.
Yeah, man, can't wait to get down and see these fights with some people this weekend, man. Gonna try to pack my hazmat suit, make sure I don't get the AIDS virus from old Lance Fishel, and try to make it out of there alive, dude.
Definitely. Well, before we get to the Nashville card, we're going to quickly recap UFC on Fox 24. Jay has the first word in here, but we'll get to that fight. I'll just throw in my own first word question. Demetrious Johnson, top 5 all time? Jay?
Yes.
Yeah? Top 3?
Close. Getting there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, he's an impressive little dude. Out there and buying poor broke hippies breakfast in the morning. Kicking Brazilians' asses by nighttime. cashing plus 700 sub tickets.
That was a wild number on that.
DJ does it all. What a man. Sean, where do you think he ranks all time? What's your thought there?
Yeah, I think he's top 3. I know people will clown on him because he's in flyweights and they don't like that he they think that that's not a strong division. But what he's doing is insanely impressive. They're hating on him because he was going decisions. Now he's finishing everybody. Barely gets touched in fights. He's just an unbelievable fighter. It kind of sucks that he's 125 pounds, but I don't give a shit. Fuck the haters. He's an unreal fighter. And he's a cool dude, too, which always helps.
Yeah, I met him very briefly in Vegas. Obviously, you had a little bit of a cooler encounter with him. He, by all accounts, seems like a really cool dude as well. The thing about him being in the flyweight division and people trying to use that against him is, I don't know if you guys are watching the fights or not, but the flyweights are consistently the most skilled fighters. So for him to be head and shoulders above all of those guys is even more impressive than some of the other guys dominating divisions that we've seen. So
I know, it's so tough to hold a guy down at 125. The scrambles are insane. Everybody's so fast, so it's so hard to hit them. Everybody just thinks that they're just not good, but I don't know. They're pretty damn skilled, if you ask me.
Well, and the other thing that hurts him, and Wes, I'll let you get to your take on this topic after this, but you've got all these other guys that have beaten former champions, and they've got that resume behind them. He can't beat any former champions because he's the only dude that's ever had the belt. And it's going on, 5 years now?
Yep, 2012.
Yeah, September 2012. I was at that card where he won the belt initially, and he's had it ever since, and that's as dominant a run as we've ever seen. Obviously, he's tied for the record now, and probably going to break it in his next outing. But yeah, it's pretty incredible what the dude's done. Wes, what are your thoughts on DJ as a whole and the fight here?
Yeah, I think Sean makes a really good point about that people knocked him for so long that he didn't finish fights, and now he's finishing every dude that he fights, and the opponents that he's fighting are getting better and better skill wise, and he's still finishing them. And then you made a good point as well about being the only champion. He can't have that on his resume. But I always will think that Bones Jones is the best fighter on the planet and has ever lived, just because the size does matter. You have to put it in there somewhere, and Jones is just a bigger man, but skill-wise, there's never been another fighter, I think, that's as skilled as DJ. We can find flaws in John Jones. He gets hit a ton. It happens. I think a lot of it has to do with him putting himself in his opponent's, their strengths so he can just prove a point, but it still happens. DJ doesn't get touched. The guy literally has zero flaws in his game. It's amazing to watch. I have him right there, top, 3 or 4 all time, already as it stands right now. Jones, him, Fedor, and, there's others you can argue in there, Spider, Dan Henderson for me. There's a couple others, but I don't think there's any argument anymore that he's got to be mentioned in the same breath with those greats. And in the sport right now, I don't think there's a more skilled guy all around than DJ. And it kind of sucks seeing I never pay attention to ratings and stuff, but to see how few people watch DJ, tie his record and dominate a guy like Hayes that is a really, really good fighter, it kind of blows, man, because I think we're watching greatness right now, watching history, and more people should appreciate it.
One thing about that is they actually broke the record in Kansas City for a live gate in the arena. And
that crowd sounded pretty hyped for DJ.
Yeah, we were fucking loud for him. It was good. I know people might not be watching on TV, but people came to see him, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think the dude's got a good kind of persona going now too. I think he's he started to talk a little bit. You know, he should feel himself a little bit. You know, he's one of the best fighters in the world, but he's starting to put that personality out there a little bit. I think you know, he's got a good presence on you know, online and stuff. So hopefully that gets him there. Hopefully the guy gets paid. I don't want to see him go up to 35. We've kind of seen that experiment. I think, you know, the size mattered. Like Dom pretty much dominated him. Size does matter, when you're talking 10 pounds at that low of weight class. So break the record, man. Just keep finishing these fools, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think he seems focused on that too, which is nice.
Yep.
And the other thing I was just going to add, you were talking about, you know, how he's fighting these really skilled guys. I honestly thought that was by far the best Wilson Hayes' striking has ever looked. And I'm not sure if I tweeted this out or I just sent it as a message in the chat, but he just wasn't even close to DJ. Like, that did not look like the Wilson Hayes that, you know, I knew coming up through Elite XC and Bellator, and, you know, even in his last couple fights in his UFC run, that dude was way better than any other version of him has ever been. And he got smoked. Like, simple as that. It was absolutely insane. Anyways, we're going to run through the rest of the UFC on Fox 24 card real quick because we've got 13 fights to go through on the Nashville card. So kicking it off, UFC Fight Pass prelims, women's bantamweight division. Ketlin Vieira defeats Ashley Evans-Smith, unanimous decision. Zach Cummins takes out Nathan Coy, technical submission, you know, plus another about 10 seconds
Jesus
of,
Christ.
you know, Nathan Coy being dead on the ground before the referee stepped in, 4 minutes 21 seconds of the first round. Anthony Smith, comeback win, third round, 352, head kick and punches, defeats Andrew Sanchez. Devin Clark put on a performance that is forgettable to say the least, defeating Jake Collier 30-27, 30-27, and I guess 30-26. Bantamweight division, Aljamain Sterling defeats Augusto Mendez 29-28 across the board. A little bit of improvement out of Sterling, which was nice. And then moving up to the Fox prelims, flyweight division, Tim Elliott defeats Luis Smoka in one of the best fights of the year so far, 30-27 across the board. Lightweight division, Rashid Magomedov did Rashid Magomedov things, and Bobby Green did Bobby Green things, and it was a pretty boring striking match, split decision for Magomedov. Tom Duquesnoy, a little bit of trouble against Patrick Williams as a minus 1,000 favorite in his UFC debut, but, you know, Williams, as he always does, faded after the first 3-4 minutes. Duquesnoy dropped him with an elbow at the end of the first round and finished him off 28 seconds into round 2 with just a shitload of standing elbows, which was pretty awesome to see, but he's in that Tommy Al murder category where awesome offense, maybe not so much on the defense, though. And finally, heavyweight division, Alexander Volkov defeats Roy Nelson 30-27 across the board. Jay, your thoughts on those prelims?
Yeah, Andrew Sanchez basically did a Mirsad Bektic. You know, controlled the first 2 rounds, got tired, was too willing to stand for some reason, and just took it, and they got KO'd. You know, pretty good fight from Aljamain Sterling. You know, he didn't seem to show too much of an issue going to ground with an all-world type of jiu-jitsu guy, and Mendez was able to defend the submission, so I was impressed by that. You know what? Considering the long layoff Bobby Green had, he made that fight pretty competitive against Magomedov, and nearly stole it. You know, you talked a little bit about, you know, the Almeida Duquesnoy comparison, and, you know, I guess I get that from an offensive perspective, but I think that Duquesnoy has better cardio. I mean, he doesn't stop coming forward. It's pretty unbelievable. And, you know, I know some of you guys have, you know, seen a good amount of his career outside of the UFC. His ground game is light years past Tommy Almeida, so I think he's got a higher ceiling for sure. Yeah, a lot there, and, you know, pretty good performance by Alex Volkov. You know, I think he's earned himself an opportunity, you know, at top 10 competition.
Sean, your thoughts?
That Zach Cummings sub, that was just such bad refereeing. I mean, we were on the floor, and I said to Trish, I'm like, oh yeah, he's out. And then I yelled it a little louder, and then probably about 3 seconds after that, he finally stopped the fight. Like,
Jesus Christ.
If I can see that,
it was when he picked up his arm and dropped his arm.
He's gonna do the Hulk Hogan.
And then waited another 3 or 4 seconds. Like,
I was waiting for him to do it 3 more times.
My entire timeline on Twitter was literally like, it's like 2 minutes old. He's out, ref, he's out. Like everybody, and then it just kept going and going.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
That was brutal. Funny story about Aljamain Sterling. He went to like an after party for Woodley, and he was eating some food, and he was dancing with this like random bigger white chick, and it was pretty funny. I don't think the white chick knew at all who he was, but he was loving life, so that was pretty funny.
Are we talking? It sounds like a Teruto Ishihara story.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like the exact same. It was pretty funny. Like you said, the Elliott Smoka fight is candidate for fight of the year. It was good to see Tim Elliott win in his hometown. That was pretty awesome. And Roy Nelson putting up his hand after that fight was peak Roy Nelson right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Wes, what do you got here?
Yeah, before the fights, talking about that ref, this is seriously one of the worst cards I've ever seen when it came to officiating. I mean, I can remember a couple of them, that one, and then just the stoppage later in the Whitaker fight, you know, fucking dipshit sitting there like jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. It was a really bad night for officiating. Yeah, as far the fights, man, Zach Cummings is just, that guy's so, I know it's Nathan Coy, man, but that guy's really underrated, dude. He's got a lot of good skills, man, that can win fights against those type of guys. I thought Aljo looked pretty good, man. He's kind of back on track. I think the guy can still be a title contender, man. He's got all the skills. I don't know if his head just wasn't right, and I don't know, but he looked really good. And then, yeah, the Tim Elliott and Smoka fight, holy shit, man. All them stand and bang fucking pieces of shit out there. Watch that shit right there and tell me you can't enjoy it. Like, round 1 is probably going to be round of the year. It was just fucking amazing. Love that fight. Tom Dookie, I agree with a lot of what Jay said. I think his ceiling is much higher than Tommy Almeida. That whole fight kind of reminded me of Tommy Almeida, though, just because he got blasted so many times, but his offense is so good. But I agree with Jay. I think he's got some other skills, that his ceiling's a little bit higher. And yeah, Roy Nelson, that guy raises his hands like after every fight, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He raises, and not only raises his hands, he's offended by the decision.
Yeah.
Like he deserved the fight. I mean, give me a fucking break.
Alright, moving up to the main card, kicking it off, featherweight division. Renato Moicano defeats Jeremy Stevens, split decision, 29-28, 29-28, 28-29. And yeah, it was a big step up for him. He was fighting a dangerous guy, but man, he did not endear himself to many people with that performance. Middleweight division, Robert Whitaker takes out Jacare. It's sadness. I think that means Jacare is never going to get a UFC title shot, which is a shame. But Robert Whitaker looked fantastic. The way he rolled through on Jacare's takedown attempt and the little scramble that they had was very, very impressive. To me, honestly, that was the most impressive part of the fight. Yeah. And then, you know, he just broke Jacare down as a better, more dangerous striker, and eventually got the finish, 3:28 of the second round. Another second round finish, Rose Namajunas stops Michelle Watterson, 2 minutes and 47 seconds of the second round, rear naked choke. She just dominated that whole fight. That was
beat down.
That was unexpected, definitely. I thought Watterson, after putting on a little bit of muscle, would be able to hang with Rose a little bit more in the grappling, but yeah, Rose, you know, she's got one of those records that doesn't look great just because she's fought the top people since she was very, very young, but you know, she's a title contender for sure. So, Jay, thoughts on the main card?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty important main card. I think more so than the entertainment factor, and it was fairly entertaining. But we saw a little bit of a changing of the guard, kind of throughout. I thought Moicano fought a very intelligent fight. I mean, I think some people, especially those that bet on Jeremy Stephens, were upset that it felt like he was running away, but I thought that was real. I mean, what are you really supposed to do? You're facing a guy with some of the heaviest power in the division. You try to jab him at distance. I mean, he cut Stephens open, and he was smart enough to avoid the big shots. I thought it was a smart game plan. He got a couple takedowns. He deserved to win the fight, and he did. That's a pretty big win for an undefeated fighter. Stephens is probably overranked at 5. I mean, I don't think. I think all of you would agree. I think he was overranked, but still, he's probably a top 10 guy or a fringe, right 8 to 10 in the featherweight division. So a good win for him. The Whitaker thing. I mean, again, changing the guard type of moment. I think we all saw that once Jacare couldn't hold him down with that first takedown, that could be a swinging moment in the fight, and it certainly was. And that head kick, I mean, is a very memorable moment. And I would say the most memorable moment on this fight card, even more so than Rose's head kick, just because of the meaning of it. I mean, a good win for Rose, but certainly not at the level of Whitaker's win, which is, was the preeminent moment on the entire event. And, from Mighty Mouse, it was just another one of his, classic performances where he completely dominates a fighter. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Horiguchi fight, where there was it took him a round or so to kind of figure it out, and once he did, it was really smooth sailing. I love the body work, to slow down Wilson Hayes. It was, just a master class of performance. Really, not much else you can say.
Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah, that Stephens Moicano fight was kind of tough to watch. Trisha's friends with Stephens and his fiance, so that's kind of was tough pill to swallow. But I mean, I guess that's what you got to do if you're Moicano. Stephens seemed off; he couldn't deal with the range very well. He was just missing quite a bit. Yeah, he probably lost 29-28, but that sucks.
It did.
Yeah. I would have liked a robbery, but what are you going to do? And then I hopped off the Whitaker train 2 fights too early. I played Brunson, and then I played Jacare in this one. I thought the grappling would be too much. I hadn't really seen enough from Whitaker to convince me that he'd be able to get up if Whitaker or if Souza got him down, and he was able to do that. And his striking is very, very good. He's in a tough spot, just like everybody else in the fucking 185-pound division because of the bullshit that's happening. Because normally, a win over Jacare gets you a title shot, but that's not going to happen because Bisping is fighting GSP. So, my guess Whitaker fights Mousasi, even though that's a step down. I mean, I don't know what else they're going to do.
That'd be a fun fight.
Yeah, obviously fun fight.
Yeah, a good fight at least.
Yeah. It just sucks that you have like
a
career defining. Yeah, you have a career defining win against the number 3 ranked middleweight in the world that should get you a title shot, and then you're probably going to have to fight the 4th or the 5th ranked guy now. So that sucks. And yeah, that was an impressive win by Rose. She just dominated and smashed Watterson. We saw Watterson after the fight, and that was not a pretty sight. I think she does bruise pretty easily, but she was pretty rough. And DJ is DJ. It was unreal. I can't believe sub was plus 700.
Yeah, Wes, anything to add?
Yeah, I understand the Moicano strategy in that fight, but Stephens did look off to me. There just wasn't something right about him, man. His timing and shit looked completely off. I don't think it was a lot to do. It was something to do with Moicano, but he looked really off in that fight. And yeah, man, I was completely wrong about Whitaker. I've liked the guy since Tough. He was the best guy coming off that season. Another fighter that goes up in weight and it changes his career. not cutting all that extra weight, totally changed his career around. And I'm with Brad. The most impressive part of that fight, it wasn't the head kick. It wasn't him just completely boxing Jacare up. It was that scramble. It was him literally getting out of that just with ease too. He knew exactly what to do, what he was doing. It was very, very impressive. There's a couple guys I think that I would probably still take over Whitaker, but there's only a couple now after seeing that fight. I'd probably still take Gegard over him. It's really close though, and man, Yoel's a problem for anybody, so probably still take Yoel over him too. And then Rose, man, just amazing performance, but JJ will tore her up, dude. So yeah, she's gonna be right there, and then get fucked up like all the rest of them. And DJ's DJ, man. We touched on DJ. He's an all-time great.
Sure is. All right, moving on to this weekend's UFC Fight Night 108. We're going to kick it off with the Fight Pass prelims. In the flyweight division, we have Hector Kid Alex Sandoval against Matt Danger Snell. Jay?
I do like that nickname.
Kid Alex?
Danger. I like Danger. Let me check it. I got both these guys a C-. I think this is a pretty competitive fight. I think Sandoval's a better athlete, but I think Schnell is actually a smarter fighter, a little bit more seasoned than Sandoval, and I think that might be the edge for him in this bout. Just a little more experience. Fought in better org before he came to the UFC when I believe it was LFA. And again, I prefer, in a close fight on paper, I prefer, the smarter opponent. So I'm going to edge with Matt Schnell, but this isn't a fight that I'm targeting.
Sean?
Yeah, agree with Jay. It was kind of a weird matchmaking, Schnell coming off the Ultimate Fighter and he had to fight. He fought an Ultimate Fighter, right? I'm not crazy about that?
Yeah,
he was on the Ultimate Fighter, and then
the 6th or 7th seed in Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, and then they matched him up with Rob Font, which is a weird matchup.
He was a short notice replacement
that's why,
in that one. Yeah.
All right, that makes a little more sense because but yeah, I think that's why this line's a tiny bit low. But like Jay, I think there's better spots to bet, but definitely picking Matt Schnell.
Wes?
Yeah, this is one of the fights that I haven't looked into real heavily, but it's probably not something I'm going to bet. But that short notice against Rob Font was just a really bad matchup for Snell. I think he's just a better all-around fighter here, not by a lot. Agree with Jay as well. He's just fought in bigger fights and has more experience. So I'm going to go with Snell here, but I can't bet this fight.
I'm actually on the other side. I like Sandoval. I underestimated him a lot heading into his last fight, and he showed quite a bit of improvement. I think that he's the better athlete here. He's going to have the much quicker hands. I think he's the better wrestler. It's going to take a little bit for him to navigate Schnell's Schnell's length. But I think as long as he's able to do that, then he should be able to sort of box him up for a decision, maybe throw in a couple takedowns just to keep Schnell off balance a little bit and help him work his way towards that decision. So I like Sandoval, not going to bet it though. Next up, welterweight division, we've got Brian Barberena taking on the poor man's Brian Barberena, Joe Proctor. Jay?
All right. I got Barberena a C, Joe Proctor a C-. This fight really, in terms of skill, I mean, you could argue that Proctor is actually a more skilled fighter than Barberena. I don't think that would be too much of a stretch. But this fight ultimately comes down to willingness to push and conditioning and volume. And Barberena has a huge advantage there. Barberena is a tough out for most fighters in this division just because of his pace and his ability to go for a full 15 minutes. There's no rest for the weary when facing him. And I think Proctor's going to struggle, especially, really in the second half of this fight. And that's going to be the difference here. I can see Barberena even getting a late stoppage in this bout by KO. But otherwise, he wins a decision. And he really takes over in that third round. He's worth a bet.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to like Barberena in this fight. He just has that grit and that gas tank to just go hard for 3 full rounds. And Proctor hasn't fought in almost a year and a half, and he got pretty hurt when he did fight last. I never thought too much of Joe Proctor. He doesn't really have any notable wins. And maybe we hyped up Northcutt and Alves too much, but I will definitely take Barberena. I mean, he should be able to just grind and do what Barberena does, you know.
Wes?
Yeah, Proctor's not been in the cage with anybody close to the level of guys that Barberena's been in there with, and I can't see Proctor taking the pressure that Barberena's going to put on him, and he doesn't have the power to get him off of him or even stop him, in my opinion. So I see this a fairly easy 30-27 for Barberena, and definitely will be parlaying him in something.
Yeah, for me, worst case scenario, this is 29-28 Barberena. If Proctor looks really good in the first round, I still think Barberena's got significantly better cardio, knows how to put pressure on guys better than Proctor. He'll take a little bit of damage, but given what his style is, he really doesn't take as much punishment as you'd think, whereas Proctor really wears everything that his opponent throws at him. So I think that it's going to be relatively close early. I still give the slight edge to Barberena, but the further this fight goes, the more it's going to edge in his favor, and he's just going to be dominant by the third round. As somebody said, I could see a third round stoppage here. Wouldn't be shocked by that at all, or Barberena getting a decision. So I like Barberena. I've got him parlayed with 2 separate parlays with one guy each. Later on the card, we'll get to that. And he is actually the first leg of our 5dimes.eu consensus play of the week. We will get to the second leg in a little while. And we also have a second bet for you to stay tuned and listen into. And we've actually been doing all right on our bets, which is probably me jinxing it, so we're going to go 0-2.
Good job, Brad.
No problem. Like to help out where I can. Next up, women's bantamweight division. Alexis Davis taking on Cindy Battlecat Benoit. Jay?
This one I'm actually going to skip through because I'll have a scouting report on the Belgian
Battle Axe?
Yeah, the Belgian Battle Axe coming up on MMAOddsbreaker.com, and which, if you haven't checked out the site, we've done a complete site redesign, and from a visual perspective, it's much more aesthetically pleasing. So check it out there.
There you go. Then that's something that we probably should have mentioned, since this is the first podcast we've had since the new website was rolled out. But yeah, MMA Oddsbreaker, new look, looking a whole lot better. Making Jay and I and my life easier, to do articles on the back end. So life is good. Next up on this fight is Sean.
Yeah, so I've kind of amended my whole stance on overs. I won't take an over if the ladies are fighting in the co-main and main event. It just seems like there's tons of fights that have been finishing in those cases.
Almost like the good female fighters can actually finish people.
Yeah.
And the shitty ones can't.
In other news.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. And another thing is I don't like betting overs on girls that haven't fought yet. Because I don't know what kind of fighter they really are. I don't really. Until they fight in the UFC, you might be a quitter, you might actually have some power, you maybe can sub somebody. So yeah, total pass for a bet. Alexis Davis should win. Benoit won in 13 seconds, TKO submission to punches to get into the UFC. Yeah, that's still happening in 2017.
Yeah, women's MMA.
Yeah, so I will pick Alexis Davis, but I'm not even going to pay to play the over.
Wes, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't really have too much of a hard opinion on this fight. I'm going to pick Alexis Davis, maybe pick the Battle Axe and Toutmaster, but I really have no clue in this fight, so don't listen to anything I say.
Yeah, I'm not interested in this fight at all. I think that I think Alexis Davis probably has a striking edge. Grappling probably pretty even, so I edge towards Alexis Davis. You know, unless He-Man comes riding in on the Battle Cat for the entrance, maybe that could shake things up and sway me. But I'm thinking Alexis Davis wins a decision here. Not too thrilled to tune into this one. Moving up to the Fox Sports 2 prelims, another one that's just super exciting.
Back-to-back bangers.
Back-to-back women's fights. Going to have the crowd real riled up in Nashville. Strawweight division, Jessica Penne versus Danielle Taylor, she's the shortest fighter in UFC history, right?
4'11"? What is she?
If she's that. But yeah, Danielle Taylor's a tiny person, and Jessica Penne likes to get hit in her past the face. Jay?
This is interesting. I got Penne a C+, Danielle Taylor a C-. Penne's obviously fought quite a bit better experience. She's been in a championship fight before, although she got dominated. But the issue for Penne here, and this is why the line is close, is that if she can't get Taylor to the ground, she's going to struggle, and she's going to become a punching bag, because that's what she does. So this is, for me, a really difficult fight to call, because it really depends on Penne's ability to defend, or Taylor's ability to defend takedowns, and there's just not a lot of, history here to suggest one way or the other. Her best win ever is Seo Hee-ham. So that doesn't tell you much. So this is, for me, a pass.
Sean, sorry.
The over. It's over 2.5. I bet it at the opener. Minus 230.
All right.
There we go. Wes?
Yeah, there it is. That's all you
know. That's all you got.
That's fair. No, that's legit.
I'm trying to speed things along.
I got you.
Yeah, that's another one I don't really have a hard stance on either. I'm on the over with Sean here. There's no way this doesn't see the final bell, in my opinion. Gonna pick Penne, but who fucking knows, man.
Yeah, I seem to remember a time where Jessica Penne's striking wasn't terrible, and she actually kind of used her length, but I know that seems to have disappeared, so who knows? She's still a way better grappler. We haven't seen anyone try and grapple with Danielle Taylor, so I'll give Penne the edge, but don't know, don't care. Next up, lightweight division. Hot sauce. Gonna get the crowd back into it with the hometown. Hopefully those hot sauce bottles will be there again this time, Wes. And he's taking on Michael McBride. Jay?
Yeah, I got Holtzman a D+, McBride a D. McBride's pretty bad. I'm not going to go with one of my favorite words here, but he's pretty bad. We've seen Holtzman fight in Nashville before. He's pretty comfortable there. I think he's from Nashville.
That'll happen when you're fighting Tony Puddings.
Yeah, exactly.
He trains in Knoxville.
Yeah, so
whatever, same shit.
We'll call it OSP country for lack of a better term. Holtzman's a grinder, and he's going to outgrind McBride here. I think this is a good spot for him. He's the type of guy he's like a bully, that when he faces scrubs, he's going to win and dominate with grappling, and when there's some sort of adversity, or someone who can actually, do that, who can actually defend, he's going to struggle. He's the bully here. He wins.
Sean, do you think that Michael McBride can overcome the semi-pro hockey pedigree of Hot Sauce Holtzman?
Not a chance. Because the problem with that is Michael McBride fights a shit ton in the Midwest. And what do we know about the Midwest? That's how you get an inflated record.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't think much of Holtzman, but he is definitely better than Michael McBride. And so he should be able to get a win, and I think that's kind of how they set this one up. Get a hometown win for the guy, but I'm not putting my money on no hot sauce.
Smart.
Wes?
Yeah, I agree with those guys. I think this is just Holtzman hometown win. He usually does fairly well when he's fighting there, and he's just better than this guy. I think he grinds it out. I'm looking at the over. Haven't played it yet, but kind of looking that way. I just see a lot of overs hitting on this card. I don't want to say that because I'm going to be there. It's probably going to be 10 hours of bullshit, but yeah, Holtzman over.
Yeah, if I thought that McBride had better cardio, I'd probably take the shot on him here at plus 285. I just don't think anybody really who's decent should be that priced against Holtzman. But the problem is, he's only decent for 5 or 6 minutes, and after that, he got worn down by Nick Lentz on short notice. And we don't really know if that's something that's going to carry over into his actual fights against lower competition or not. So I'm tempted by McBride, but in the end, going to make Holtzman the pick and probably side with him to get another hometown win. Speaking of hometown guys, Tennessee native Dustin Ortiz is taking on the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno. Clown baby, flyweight division. Jay, good fight.
Yeah, not bad at all. I got Moreno a C-, Dustin Ortiz a B-. This is the fight probably, the last 3-4 cards where, the opener for me, it was a total head scratch. I have it, the opener I think was it minus 120 or minus 130? It was somewhere in that neighborhood, right, Brad?
120.
Opener was 120 each way, yeah.
Yeah, I bet this right away, and I got it at minus 140 on Ortiz for a unit. It's one of those lines where that it was so much different than where I had it at that it made me scratch my head. I'm like, am I missing something here? And that's why I didn't play it for bigger, because I have it about $1.50 off. Thought that Ortiz should be somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 275 in this fight. Moreno is definitely an up-and-coming prospect in this division. Good kicking game, athletic, but he's facing a guy here who just wants to take fighters down, and he's capable of taking Moreno down, and when he gets you down, he holds you down. He's a guy who beat Ray Borg in a fight, who's a much better scrambler, much better in transitions, and so that should tell you something about this fight. I think Dustin Ortiz is one of the best gatekeepers in this division, and I think he gets the job done here. I don't think Moreno's ready. So Dustin Ortiz, one of the best bets on the card.
Sean?
I'm an idiot, and I live a boring life. So when I when I looked at the openers, I didn't really even look at the sides in this fight, and just was like, oh, minus 230 on the over. Hell yeah, I'm playing that. So I put that with the woman's over, and then I look back later, and Ortiz is skyrocketed, which he should because he's gonna win this fight, and I kind of think he'll do it somewhat easily. Ortiz is a very good scrambler. I don't think Moreno's going to be able to catch him. Ortiz has been in there with some very good submission guys and done really well against them. So I still like Ortiz at the price. I might look to play it a different way. I might try to play his handicap minus 3.5, something like that, or maybe just take him by decision. But yeah, I see Ortiz putting in work and grinding Moreno out.
Wesley?
Yeah, I just don't see how Moreno is going to not be on his back for 12 or 13 minutes of this fight. Ortiz isn't going to let him in scrambles and go for a bunch of crazy submissions over position like Smoka did. So I just see Ortiz taking him down and riding this out for 3 rounds. And I missed the opener, but I got minus 140 myself. I thought that was probably the best. The minus 120 was easily the best line on the board, in my opinion. I think this is a pretty easy decision for Dustin Ortiz. The over is good parlay material, and I guess Ortiz now at that price. But yeah, Ortiz all day for me.
Yeah, I like Ortiz as well. I got him at minus 130 just shortly after the opener, so I was relatively lucky in that sense, and pretty much echoing the sentiments that you guys have on this one. I think that Moreno, this is the first time he's faced a really solid wrestler. He's going to end up on his back. He's going to be throwing up subs, going for guillotines. You know, he might even give up a couple takedowns, jumping for guillotines and stuff like that. And that's just not going to work on Dustin Ortiz. He's going to end up on top of you. He's going to pass guard, you know, probably get shoved back to guard, pass guard. It's going to be one of those sorts of fights, and he's just going to rack up top control and ground and pound and win himself a decision. So I like Dustin Ortiz, and even though the line is up nearly $1 from where it opened, we are parlaying Dustin Ortiz with Brian Barberena. That parlay pays minus 107, and that is our first 5dimes.eu consensus bet of the week. Head over to 5dimes for all of your MMA betting needs. And, you know, full lines are up right now for the Nashville card. A couple props up for the top two fights, and full props will be up later in the week for the card as well. So go in and cash in on that parlay before the line jumps even more. Next up, last prelim fight, middleweight division, Talis Leites against Smile and Sam Alvey. Jay?
Brad, you talking about line jumps?
Line jumps. Sometimes lines jump, Jay.
Make a fucking bet, Jay. Make a bet.
Yeah.
Alvey? I got both these guys a C. I think this is actually a pretty, again, interesting fight, contrast of styles. Talis Leites, you know, he's a guy who went 5 rounds with Mike Bisping, but that's pretty much his ceiling. He's okay when he's against a guy who doesn't have big-time power. Alvey has power, so that could be a definite issue. But he's a guy who wants to get the fight to the ground. He's got a pretty good submission game. Problem here is Sam Alvey's got about 85% takedown defense. I don't see Talis Leites being able to get the fight to the ground, so it's going to be a struggle for him. And that's why I slightly favor Sam Alvey in this fight. He's got the power to put Leites on the back foot, and he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. That's kind of what Sam Alvey's game is. Problem with Sam Alvey has always been activity. And if he doesn't get the knockout, he can kind of give away rounds because of, just lack of volume. So it's not a slam dunk by any stretch of his imagination, but, I do give Sam Alvey a small edge in this one. So if he gets back, if the line kind of shifts towards Talis Leites and Alvey's somewhere in like the plus 130 range, that's probably the number I need to bite.
You talking about ladies, Jay?
Yeah. K-Ladies?
K-Ladies.
K-Ladies. Sean, what you got?
I don't know why I do this to myself, but I bet Sam Alvey. And every time I do, I fucking shake my head and wonder why I'm doing this, because he does absolutely nothing for all of the whole round and then throws a couple strikes. I mean, sometimes he knocks guys out. Sometimes he gets a decision win barely. But I like the stylistic matchup in this fight. Alvey has wicked takedown defense. This is going to be a striking match, and even with his low output, I think he will hit Leites more than Leites is going to hit him. So I don't think Alvey will put him out just because Leites has a really good chin and doesn't get put out easily. But I do think he's going to win, and I'm going to be hating myself the whole damn time for betting it.
Wes?
Yeah, kind of how I looked at this fight was what I thought was more probable to happen. Leites getting Alvey down, or Alvey catching Leites and hurting him, or just more output, or just winning rounds with that little bit of boxing. And I just came to the conclusion that, like Sean said, 85% takedown defense, it's hard to get Sam Alvey down. Leites has some pretty decent takedowns, but I just don't think it's good enough. I could see him leaning up against Albie on the cage, trying to get those takedowns for a couple minutes of rounds, maybe still in those couple minutes, but as long as it's on the feet, Albie's always got that chance. Like Sean said, though, man, this dude literally every first round of every fight that guy has, he throws like 3 punches. So, man, it's hard to trust him. I'm kind of looking more maybe taking the over in this fight over a side. I kind of want to see how juiced it starts round 2 or round 3 is. But I'm going to hesitantly pick Albie in this fight. I think he's going to be able to keep it up, and just don't think Latest has any shot if it stays on the feet for any amount of time. So Albie's the pick, and I'm going to probably look at the over or something like that.
Yeah, for me, I like Albie as well. I'm actually a little bit more confident in him in this fight than I am normally, and that's because usually you have to worry about him being really low output, but another guy that's a pretty low output fighter is Talis Latest. It's not like, when Albie's standing around waiting for his opportunities that Latest is really going to be racking up points with, jabs and leg kicks and all that sort of stuff that Albie lets you get away with on the outside. So there's not going to be a huge gap, striking wise, even if Albie's not doing a whole lot. So when he does throw those couple shots and lands them, those points are going to mean a whole lot in this fight. And as the other guys have said, I don't think Latest is getting Albie down. Takedown defense is what he's best at as far as something that he shows out there consistently. So you got to think that this stays on the feet, and I have to give Albie the edge there. So close fight. I understand why the line is where it is, but I do give the edge to Albie. He will be my pick. No bet though. Next up, moving to the main card, we are in the welterweight division. This should get it started with a little bit of a bang. Jake Ellenberger taking on Platinum Mikey Platts, Jay.
Yeah, this is an entertaining fight. Could certainly be the fight of the night. That wouldn't be a surprise to me at all, because both these guys are going to come out, and I think the theme of this fight is kill or be killed. That's how this is going to play out. Both these guys are going to come forward, and they're going to need to finish the other guy, or they're going to be in danger of being finished themselves. Perry, I would say, is the better chin at this point than Ellenberger. I don't think that's even a question. And that's why I think Perry is the favorite, because he's going to be able to withstand more damage than Jake Ellenberger can. I think it's a dangerous fight for Jake. One, he's certainly, from a technical standpoint, he's better. And certainly capable of winning, but he's going to take damage in this fight if he doesn't finish in the first 2 minutes. And since Perry's shown more durability, I think he wins. I'm not sure what the line is. I'm going to guess New Sean might know, but
minus 185 for Perry.
Yep.
No, the total.
Oh, 1.5 is the overs minus 135.
That under is very tempting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to pause on that one and think about it. But that under is definitely, I think, the way to approach this one.
Sean?
If you hate Mike Perry like I do, and you want to see him get knocked out in this fight, instead of betting on Jake Ellenberger, you should probably just Google his boxing match where he gets knocked out pretty stiff, because I don't think Ellenberger's going to be able to do it. If you're thinking about playing that under, I would lean more taking Perry inside the distance, because Perry has shown an absolute hell of a chin, and I don't think Ellenberger can knock him out. Ellenberger does have good power, but I don't know. When's the last time we've really seen him land a punch that knocked anybody else, other than the kick that he landed against Brown? But yeah, I think Mike Perry's going to knock his ass out. So if you're going to look to play him, probably play Perry inside the distance, but I'm passing.
Wes?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Blackface Perry is gonna knock fucking Jake out. I'll be looking to see what the price is on him inside the distance is. Yeah, he's gonna knock out Jake.
Yeah, I agree. I like Perry here. Even if Jake lands early, we know he's got a ton of power, but we've seen Perry eat a lot from guys who can hit pretty hard. So maybe they can't hit quite as hard as Ellenberger can, but I still think that Perry's chin is going to hold up. And not only do I not think Jake's chin is going to hold up, I don't think his cardio is going to hold up either. So it's going to be tough. We've seen Perry has good takedown defense as well, so it's not like Jake can just take him down if he gets in trouble. So yeah, gotta like Perry in this one. Everything's sort of leaning his way. Not a huge fan of the line where it is right now, so I'll wait to see what props come out on this one. If anything, I would bet probably the under 1.5 at this point, as I don't think Ellenberger can stand up to too much of what Perry can dish out. Next up, lightweight division, we got Joey fucking Lozon, taking on Stevie Ray, 1/2 of Harlem Heat. It's a good fight. Jay?
I got both these guys a C. I think this is a pretty close fight on paper. I like Lozon's experience, and I think the reason why the line's kind of moved the other way is people are thinking this is going to be like a change in the guard kind of a thing that we talked about before. Ray younger, on his way up, and Lozon towards the tail end of his career. But to me, this line is just a little too far. I don't mind it being at a pick'em, but Joey Lozon almost 2-1 is something I think I'm going to be playing myself. I haven't bet it yet, but it's certainly in my wheelhouse.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I think this line is out of line. I was somewhat high on Stevie Ray. I mean, I bet him, but when he was fighting fairly low end fighters, and then he came up with just an absolute stinker of a performance against Alan Patrick. And then he was just able to squeak a win by Ross Pearson. Like, I don't know how people are that confident. Maybe it's just a straight fade on Lozon, but Lozon's been in there for a long time, and he's a gamer. I think him at close to plus 200 is a good play. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to.
Wes?
Yeah, I think we all kind of hyped up Stevie Ray a little bit, but man, honestly, I haven't been overly impressed here lately. I know he's still young, but I just think he's still got enough, and this is the wrong guy I think Stevie Ray wants to face at this point in his career. Lozon's going to bring it. I think he could rush Stevie Ray up for a few rounds, and still a couple here. So at almost 2-1, you almost have to play Lozon in this spot, man. Yeah, I'll be betting Lozon at that. I don't think Lozon can get a stoppage here because Stevie Ray's pretty tough, but I think he could steal a couple rounds here, man. So yeah, give me Lozon at those dog odds for sure.
Yeah, as our friends at headquarters would say, anybody with a cursory understanding of mathematics kind of has to play Joe Lozon here. This is pretty much a 50-50 fight. You've got Ray, he's got a little bit better striking technique, but Lozon overcomes that all the time in his fights just with his aggression. He can get inside, get guys uncomfortable, make them mix it up a little bit more than they want to. And Stevie Ray's takedown defense is just really awful. He is certainly Scottish. I mean, that shows through in his fights, particularly against Alan Patrick. He just kept making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It was pretty rough to watch that. I think I had him on a parlay in that fight. And, even against another guy who can't really grapple at all, he didn't show anything in that realm against Ross Pearson. So I think that Lozon's going to come forward. He's going to make it a little bit dirtier than Stevie Ray wants it. He's going to be able to get some takedowns early on. Lozon does still fade a little bit later in the fight, so that's going to give Stevie Ray a chance to get back in there. But in the end, I think this is going to be a toss-up. I could definitely see a split decision type of fight. And for that reason, I ended up playing one unit on Joey fucking Lozon at plus 185. And He is also going to be our second 5dimes.eu consensus bet of the week. A little bit of dog odds for you guys. Next up, bantamweight division. John Dodson taking on Eddie Wineland. This is a quality scrap. There's a couple gems on this card. This is one of them. Jay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is a beatdown, I think. I got Dodson an A-, Eddie Wineland B-. Wineland's been like a Johnny Eduardo in his past. He's had his nose broken a few times, or his jaw broken twice now. John Dodson hits really fucking hard. That's really all you need to know. Yeah, Dodson's had some moments of inactivity, but he's going to hit Eddie Wineland at least once here, and that's going to be the end of it. And John Dodson's going to win, very likely by knockout. That's what you need to know, and he's worth parlaying.
Sean?
I disagree with Jay. I'm not putting it past Dodson to throw 3 strikes, and I'm not sure if those are going to land too hard on Eddie Wineland. We kind of all wrote off Eddie Wineland. Thought he was done after getting smashed by Eduardo and being out forever, and then just kind of get dominated by Caraway and looked pretty ugly in it. And then he beat Frankie Saenz, and then he beat Muzugaki. I mean, those aren't amazing wins, but they are wins, and that's more time for his jaw to recover and to add some durability, I guess. I used to be really high on Dodson, and now with this weight class, he should have no reason for not having good output, yet he really didn't do it against Lineker. And I don't know if that's going to continue. I kind of hope it does, because I played the over small. But yeah, I do think Dodson's going to win. I mean, he is fast. Wineland's probably not going to be able to touch him too much, but this might be a boring fight. So I will take the over, but yeah, Dodson should win.
Wes?
Yeah, Sean's completely right, man. There's always that chance that shitty Dodson shows up, but I'm banking on the fact that he does, and I think if he does show up in this fight, he beats Wineland pretty handily. Wineland isn't Lineker. I think Dodson was a little bit scared of that power. I mean, it's that Lineker power is legendary now. I mean, he had to be a little worried about it. I just don't think he's going to be too worried about Wineland's power. Now, if Dodson doesn't come out there and throw punches, Wineland's got some pretty good output. So, I wouldn't put it past, shitty Dodson showing up and Wineland just out-voluming him and still in a fight. But I'm going to bank on Dodson shows up and he gets Eddie. I don't think he can finish Eddie, but I think he wins a decision here. It's hard to lay minus 400 on John Dodson here against a decent opponent in Wineland, though. Maybe the over's worth a look, like Sean said, but it's kind of hard to lay that kind of price on Dodson. He'll be the pick, though.
Yeah, for me, this is somewhat similar to the Alvey-Leitis fight, where you've got a guy who's, the big knock on him has been inactivity in Dodson, but his opponent isn't a guy that really puts his foot down and stamps rounds away with his volume either. So I think people have this conception that Wineland is a far more active fighter than he actually is. It's because he moves around a lot, but in terms of actually throwing, he doesn't really put that much out there. So I think it's a good fight for Dodson. Even if we see him go into that shitty inactive mode, I still think that he's going to win that fight, because Wineland's defense, they're going to talk about it ad nauseum during the fight, but yes, he's got his hands down, he uses his head movement, he uses his footwork, and against a guy as fast as Dodson, I just don't think that is a recipe for success. Every time he's moving his feet or moving his head, Dodson's going to be moving his feet and his hands a whole lot faster. So I think Dodson's going to clip Wineland. And I still think we're at the point where if Dodson's clip guys, even in this bantamweight division, he's going to put them out. So I think that Dodson's going to find the chin. I think he's going to find the TKO here. So Dodson is going to be the pick. It's going to be a close fight until suddenly it's not a close fight and it's over. It's one of those where, yes, I could see it being a very close decision if Dodson can't find that knockout blow, but I think it's more likely that he does find the knockout here. So Dodson's the pick. No bet. Wait for props on this one for me. Next up, light heavyweight division. We have Ovin St. Preux, off, as it were, taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Mr. Under 1.5 himself. Jay?
Yeah, I got Osp C+, De Lima D+. Osp doesn't have great conditioning, but luckily for him here is that De Lima may be the worst conditioned light heavyweight in the division. He's got about 4 minutes of gas, and after that he's toast. Not to mention De Lima is very capable of being submitted. We saw him be submitted, or basically throw himself into a from top control. Osp, Osp certainly has flaws, but his Darce choke is, the Von Flue choke is actually, very, very underrated, I'd say. And
De Lima might put himself in one of those just so he can quit.
Exactly. So you have to like Osp here. And the line is a little surprising given, the experience difference. Could Osp get KO'd though? Yeah. He could, but this is a fight he should win, and if he does win, it's going to be by stoppage. I don't see De Lima going 3 rounds.
That would probably be the most shocking thing to happen in MMA this year. Sean?
Oh, shit. Now it's going to happen. I
hope so, just for Wes's sake.
Not enough overs on this card. We need another one. Man, only in Nashville does Osp lose to a debuting fighter that's unranked and just absolutely terrible, and he's still the third last fight on the card.
Yeah.
You're going to an awesome card, Wes. Just trust. Trust
the process.
That's right. As for this fight, yeah, like Brad said, De Lima is an under machine. 10 of his last 11 fights have gone under. I would have to assume this one goes under. The only thing I worry about is, I guess Ovin St. Preux could somehow get out of there and just not strike and run away a bit, but I don't know. I see this fight ending. But I have lost all fucking trust in Osp. I'll just pick De Lima for Tote Master for some dog points, and I'm thinking about playing the under.
There you go, Wes.
Yeah, I've completely lost any fucking feeling in Osp. That dude can, no way I'll trust anything to do with that guy again. But
you guys gotta trust in Osp. I'm telling you.
That shit De Lima did against the Russian dude, I'll never forget that. That's some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. He puts himself in fucking full guard and then listen to him choking from his fucking back. I'll never forget that. Osp at home here. I think he wins this fight. I'm gonna play the under. One way or the other. I just can't see this going too much amount of time. De Lima either knocks Osp out or he gets tired and gasses and OSP kind of ground and pound stoppage or something like that. So, yeah, I'll play the under here, and I'm going to pick Osp. He's at home.
Yeah, I thought in this fight we might get like a heavyweight over 1.5 price where it was, plus 160, plus 170, and I could see an outside chance where Osp decides to go out and wrestle and just avoid, taking De Lima's power on for that first round, and maybe it goes over. But even in a case like that, I think it's more likely that if De Lima ends up on his back, he just does something stupid, puts himself in a bad spot, or turtles up to some ground and pound shots. So the fact that the under is only minus 135 here, and that gives you basically all of De Lima's chance to win at plus 160, and a whole lot of St. Preux's chance to win I think that's a great price, so I'm going to end up playing the under here. I haven't right now, just because it's gone down a little bit more from the opener, so just want to see if it stays where it's going to go, or stays where it's at right now, or comes down even a bit more. But really like the under. St. Pierre is going to be the pick, but there is no faith left, as everyone else has said. De Lima could clip that chin for sure. Next up, co-main event. Somehow, Diego Sanchez, 2017, is a co-main event. And not only that, he is a co-main event against a guy who hasn't fought in 2 years. So, just booking the thrillers for Nashville, Jay.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say. I got Raging Al a B, Diego Sanchez a C. This is a fight that Al needs to win. I mean, I know he hasn't fought in 2 years, but he's so much younger, fresher, hits harder than Diego.
Better be fresh. He's had 2 years off.
Yeah, he's exactly. He can take a punch as well, but I don't think you could. Diego's he's nowhere near the fighter he was, but he still is. You're always nervous betting against this guy in these kind of fights because they end up being brawls, and the judges love this guy more than any other fighter in the history of mixed martial arts. And to me, that's something you don't want to do against the guy who's, with the other guys are minus 450 favorite. So this is a fight I'm sadly going to have to pass betting.
Jay, when you said judges love him more than anyone else in MMA, Leonard Garcia down in New Mexico just said, "Hold my beer."
Yep. He's number two. He's number 2.
He's about to get back in the cage. Sean, what do you have here?
You say Al Quinta should be pretty arrested, but that real estate game is a hustle. It's tiring. So I don't know how fresh he's going to be. I mean, I think he's still fresh enough to be able to take out Diego at this point.
You think any of his real estate clients have ever booed him, and he's just like, "You fucking booing me?
Boo me? What? Fuck you!"
It was so good.
It's so good. Was that his last fight? Did that happen in the Masvidal fight that he won?
Yeah, that was the Masvidal fight.
Yeah.
How fucking long ago was that? That's insane.
2 years. Fucking 2 years this month.
Yeah. Diego Sanchez is a straight up lunatic. Like that's not an act. He is psychotic. So I mean, kudos to whoever's betting Al Quinta against the lunatic that is Diego Sanchez. I am not risking my money against that and getting robbed or something. I will watch. I will pick Al Quinta. He should beat him with his skills, but who fucking knows?
Wes?
Yeah, Raging Al is like a roommate of a close personal friend of ours, so you almost got to pick him just by association, but all seriousness, Al should win this fight, but 2 years, off 2 years, man, and then like Sean said, you want to play that kind of a line against a raging lunatic like Diego, man. You know that guy is going to bring it. Whether he's going to be good enough on that night, who knows, but he's going to bring it. And I think it's changing a little bit, but judges just love output. Whether it's hitting a bunch of fucking air, elbows, whatever, they love output. And Diego's going to do that. So if Al's any bit of a little bit rusty for a round and a half, man, I wouldn't be surprised to see Diego still win and the shit get really close on some scorecards. So I can't lay that kind of money on Al, but he really should win this fight very, very easily. We'll see.
Yeah, we talk about, actually we've talked about it a lot on this card, guys with high output and low output, but we were just mentioning Iaquinta's last fight, and obviously the post-fight interview was pretty hilarious when it came to that fight, but he won against Masvidal because he had shitty, ineffective output. So it's not like Sanchez is alone in that category in this fight, which makes me feel a little bit safer about picking Al. I'm still not going to bet him, but I think the best way to approach this would probably be, Al's going to answer back Diego's volume with his own, and I think that he's going to land the significantly harder shots, and I think he might actually score a TKO in this fight. Not sure that Diego's chin has it anymore, especially after that Lozon fight, and we haven't really seen it tested too much since then. So I'm thinking that Al gets the TKO, and that is going to be my pick in this one. Finally, we've got the main event of the evening, featherweight division. There's some guy, he's like 4th ranked in the world or something, but he's not the attraction in this one. The A side in this main event is the Flowbov. Artem Lobov, his flowiness, is going to be putting on a show for the people in Nashville. This is the entire reason that Wes decided to go to this card, because you gotta feel the flow here. Jay, dude, what's going on?
Yeah, I got Cub Swanson a B+, Lobov a D. I mean, this is like a DFS King's paradise, because there's really such limited downside with Swanson in this bout, because look what happened last fight. He faced a guy who's a sniper of a striker, and he couldn't be put away, and really wasn't that close to being put away in that bout at all. And he just continues to throw strikes, and he's so creative, that you're gonna score points, and he's gonna win this bout. I mean, it's very, 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 very difficult to see Artem Lobov win this bout. Swanson is a better striker. That's it. I mean, I'm trying to think of different words to say, but he's a better striker. He's more powerful. He's more skilled. He's more technical. And that's really all you need to know. He's more experienced.
Jay, I have one question for you.
Why is Lobos only in this fight because Connor won?
Is he more flowy?
He's not more flowy. It's the only thing he's not.
Right?
And that's the clincher.
Oh man, you missed a big opportunity there, Jay.
I wanted you guys to handle that part.
No, when you were going through your fighter grades. Cub Swanson's a B+ or whatever, and Artem Lobov is F for flowy.
Capital F for flowy.
Sean, what do you got?
Oh man, I can't believe this is actually happening.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
2017 WME era.
Like, this should be on Ryzen. This should not be in the UFC, but it's happening, so we're gonna deal with it. Cub actually hasn't finished a guy since 2013. He knocked out Dennis Seaver. And that's kind of gotta be the only reason that Cub inside the distance opened -140. I mean, it's still -190. I honestly don't think Artem can go 5 rounds regardless if he's winning or not. Like, we've seen how gassed he is in fights that he's not getting absolutely tuned up in, like he's doing okay in. How is he going to go another 2 rounds? And then he's fighting Cub Swanson. It just feels so like a trap or something. Like, why is it only -190? I'm just going to have to throw that out and just play it anyway, because I can't pass that up. This is crazy. Cub's going to dominate. He's going to probably knock him out. Maybe he might even sub him late when he's just tired. I mean, Lobov has
some nitrous canisters, and he's going to give those to Lobov between rounds and ask him to keep him going.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll say he wins by 3rd round sub.
Wesley?
I think what everybody's failing to realize is Lobov still has a pickaxe in his shorts, so all bets are off, you know? No, the whole reason, I think there's some really good fights on this card, some interesting fights, but the whole reason I put my money down was to see the Flowball live one time. I mean, you got to. I mean, where else have you ever seen that a dude that's like 18 and 14 get the number 4 guy at a main event than fucking Connor's buddy, you know?
You're giving Lobov way too much credit. He's actually 13-12.
Oh shit! Take one off, but he's still Connor's buddy, so he could be like 10-50. You know, yeah, man. Cub wins this fight. There's no fucking way. People, even I've seen people say that, you know, Lobov's got some decent striking and he's got some power. I've never seen it. I mean, the guy throws a bunch of pot shots. He's always got his hands down. Cub's gonna piece this dude up. I agree with Sean. The under. Cub inside the distance. I just don't see Lobov going 5 rounds with Cub here. I mean, Cub at this point he's legit top 5 in the world, man. This guy's getting to be almost, you know, legendary status in MMA. He's been around forever, dude. Fought the who's who. I mean, this is fucking Lobov, dude. I can't see it, man. Cub inside the distance. I'm probably gonna play the under as well. So yeah, Cub all day.
The entire list of guys that Cub Swanson has lost to since he's been in the UFC is Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, and Ricardo Lamas. Those are 3 of the only 4 guys that are ranked above Swanson right now.
That's the best part.
He's legit, man.
Yeah, and somehow he is like, I feel like minus 680 is low on this fight. Like,
he should be 1,000, like Homeboy last week. He seriously should be minus 1,000.
Yeah, like we've got 2 guys that we know everything about, and everything points to Cub winning this fight. Even if he wants to just stand and put on a show, you know, we just said it. Artem doesn't have the power that they try and pretend that he has. He doesn't have the striking that people try and pretend that he has. You know, he's been successful in fights where guys have gassed out. We know that Cub's not going to gas out. So, yeah, it's just, you know, I don't really understand this line. Obviously, the fight doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know what to say. I haven't bet the money line just because I don't usually play lines that high. But I will be looking definitely at Cubs points handicap, which should probably be in the 300 to 400 range. I think that's going to be a great parlay piece because Lobov is tough enough that if Cub just wants to keep this on the feet, I could see him lasting 5 rounds. I think if Cub takes it down, Lobov's actually pretty tough to submit as well. So, you know, either way, I could see this fight going fairly deep, even though he's overmatched. But yeah, it's going to be a blowout. So Cub gets the friendly treatment here after putting on a fight of the year, which is kind of nice to see. You know, you'd like to see guys taken care of after they put on great fights. So it's good that they're actually doing that for once. That is going to do it for our UFC Fight Night 108 preview. Anything that you wanted to add, Jay, before we get out of here for the evening?
No.
No? Well, I know you said you've got like a couple articles coming up on Oddsbreaker. You've got a breakdown of the Battle Cat.
That's right.
Anything else coming out this week?
Yeah, I'll probably do probably like 2 fight breakdowns. I'm not sure which fights yet. That's a good call. Maybe the Alvey fight. And yeah, definitely that one. And probably another. You know, it's sometimes you just sometimes you're like, I'd really like to look at that one further, or there's something I'd want to put out there that, you know, I don't think people are seeing. But yeah, that and a lot of hoop. I'm looking forward to the hoop.
Fair enough. Sean, anything hockey wise that people should be looking out for?
McJesus to God. That's all you need to know.
Here we go.
All right. And Wes, Champions League. What's up with do you have anything on day 2 of these legs?
Not yet. Still sitting on my Barcelona plus 4,400, but that is not looking good. Couple things before we head out. Our boy, Jeremy on Twitter. Super Swarte is running.
Jesus Christ!
I love the American education.
That's the redneck pronunciation. So, but getting him, man, he's running Gamble Master, the second one. It's really awesome contest, man. If you like betting, MMA, check that out, dude. And
yeah, it starts this weekend, so get on it. It's $50. It's fun.
Yeah, $50.
3 months.
Really
Find Jerry on Twitter. At SuperSart. If you need to find some tweets, I'll go and I'll retweet some of his stuff. We'll probably send some stuff out from the MMA Analysis account as well. Yep. Just giving you some links to sign up for the second season of Gamble Master. It's fun. It's not the same sort of commitment that Tout Master is. 3 months, and you're basically free to do whatever the hell you want when it comes to MMA bets. So it's a much different style of game. So a lot of fun. I think the winning payout for the very first one was $1,200.
Yeah, 12 or 15, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, $1,200. There were a couple decent payouts for guys below that as well. I think second place paid like $600. Yep. Third was $3 or $2.
Yep.
So yeah, we had a decent turnout first time around, and let's try and increase that. And you can sign up until the day of the event, I believe, or the day before the event, Jeremy was saying. So do that, and get in on, the MMA Analysis is the leader in all things MMA gambling game related, because you know how we degenerate like that. And I think that's going to do it for us this week. Everybody enjoy Nashville as much as you can. Wes, try and stay awake for the main event and enjoy his flowiness. And
I'll enjoy that flow.
I don't think there's a card next week, is there?
There's like a 3-week break, isn't there, until 2/11?
Jeez.
That's a good one, though. That's a really good one.
Card.
Yep, I like having a break before cards that I actually want to see, because it sort of builds that anticipation and makes them that much more must-see to me.
Yep.
So we'll be back in a couple weeks with the UFC 211 preview. Until then, have a good one, guys.